Maybe it's been a busy month for being a short month. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to be doing my February wrap-up, and I do feel like February was a pretty productive month overall. I got through quite a lot this month, most of it being audio and Kindle. I was thinking about it today as I'm filming this, a little bit late, but a lot of it was that. I didn't get a ton of actual physical reading in, but it makes me glad that I'm comfortable with other formats, because I used to be a physical or nothing reader. Got a lot more comfortable with Kindle with audio. So help me still get quite a lot of stuff here. So we're going to talk about it because we got a lot to go through. So let's jump right in. So first off, and I talked about this quite a bit in my January wrap-up because I had finished most of this before I got to that point, but it is Tome of Heron by Damian Francis. I did actually end up finishing this up in February. In early February, I got through pretty quick. I was just nearly there, and I do have a review for this one as well. But this was it was a long one, but an interesting take on some of those classic fantasy tropes. One I had some issues with, but that was enjoyable, and that I'd be really curious to see where it's going to go, because it just presents as such the normal, classic, tropey kind of fantasy, but very quickly starts to show you that we're actually doing something pretty different here and have a lot of unique parts there, so always an interesting time. I then did, which I'm pretty sure I may have also... No, maybe I did start this actually in February, but The Oleander Sword, which I did I'm pretty sure I did a review for this as well, which I don't always do for booktubes, but it had been long enough, and it was one where I was curious as to whether or not it was going to be worth continuing. And for me, it definitely was. I thought this was quite good. It built on a lot of the things set up in the first book. I wish it would have done a little bit more. I felt like the size of this, it could have definitely done a little bit more. So that was kind of my main critique, was really like, I want to know what happens next. And depending on how the third book goes, at this point I kind of feel like this could have been a duology, because I felt like things we've done in the first two books so far, we could have definitely fit a little bit more in, but really interesting world that's continued to become more interesting. So I'll definitely be checking out the last book from Tasha Suri when it is released for that one. And then we had, with doing a review copy, Becoming a Druid by Mike Molman, and this was a lot of fun. And this was one too where there was some humor, and there were some moments where it got darker, but it was just kind of a refreshing read. And I have another one coming as well, and it's a couple of these where I'm like, I feel like I read it at the right time. I needed a break. We'll talk about why a little bit later in the video, but I needed a break. I needed something different, and just kind of this was like the epitome of 80s style of like more classic fantasy in a really good way, and it was really nice to change and to read something like this in between. I'm going to be reading book 2 probably pretty soon. It'll definitely be this month that I get to book 2. So coming really soon, but I'm excited to continue. But following our mustachio druid as he is just trying to become a druid. That's all he really wants. And his quest to do so ends up having much higher stakes than it would first appear. So then we had The Gathering Storm. Oh, I did do a video for, all of those so far, and this one I do have videos for as well, which I'll make sure to link down below. But Gathering Storm, continuing my reread of The Wheel of Time. This was on audio, of course. That's the way I've been doing the whole thing. And, Night of Dreams is one of my favorites. Gathering Storm, just so much great stuff that happens as well. I'm actually, as of filming this, I'm like over halfway through Towers of Midnight as well, so I'm getting through that super quick. I'm so excited to finish it up. It's been a long time coming, doing one of these a month, and so I'm excited. I can't wait to continue and finish up The Wheel of Time. But if you want to hear more about that, I have a video for every single book so far, so there's plenty. I will keep bringing it up here. Then, which one I did hybrid read, is Wizardborn by David Farland, which is book 3 of the Rune Lords, with the nifty cover here too. This is one of the reasons I originally picked this series up. The covers are just really interesting. But this one continued on, and I have to say, I'm still quite enjoying this. This has been a really solid series for me so far. Not anything like mind-blowing, but each book has been a really solid 4-star for me so far. And this one starts to get us really close to the finish line. Book 4, which is Lair of Bones, which I'll be reading this month, as well. It sounds like the end of like this arc, but the first 3 books take place over a very short period of time. There's just a lot happening. And you'd think when you were going to the 4th book that takes place like within like maybe a week, like you think like, what's going on? How is this happening? Are we just wasting time? But no, there's been so much happening, but because of some of the way the world and the magic system is set up, there's a lot that you can do and you can travel very quickly. So ton going on. Really starting to ramp up, doing some interesting things with the villains and expanding on the scope, kind of showing what's actually going to be going on, and some pretty world shattering consequences that may happen. So continue to be interested in the characters, the world, the more we found out. This has just been a really enjoyable series. So a nice, pleasant surprise as well with that one. I'm really interested to see how book 4 shapes up. And then there are 7, and apparently one that may be published posthumously. There are 7, and like I said, 4 I think is the end of this arc. So after finishing that too, I'll be even more curious to see how 5 then picks up. So far it's been a really interesting time, and looking forward to continuing. Next up, one that was sent as an audio review copy to me was Digitarum by Derek Bailey. And this was another one I quite enjoyed. And I did a review for this as well. And it's one of those things where I know it's not going to be everyone's thing, but it fit my taste really well. Basically, the book is an exploration on creation. And it's these entities are just put into nothingness and told, create. Create whatever you want, however you want. We see them create a world from nothing and then slowly interact with that world, and then their creations on that world over time, over a large amount of time, and just kind of explores that idea. I really enjoyed doing it. It was different and unique, and the way it was done, I thought did a lot of cool things. Definitely check out the review if that kind of really short description sounds interesting to you, because it's something that I definitely recommend. But also, if that doesn't sound interesting to you, you probably won't enjoy it because, like I said, I feel like you have to be down with that concept. I absolutely was. Not everybody will be, but it was something that worked super well for me. So I was pretty excited to get through that one as well. Then we have Starbinder by Mark Timoney. And this is a very short little novella short story, which I would have gotten to it way sooner than I realized. It's only like 70 pages. And this one is a prequel. It takes place quite a ways before the Blood of the Spear first book in the Eye of Eternity. I wanted to say a completely different thing, but Eye of Eternity, I was blanking for a moment in that series, and it gives us a much deeper look at the Shaluwe, which is one of the groups of magic users that are on that world, and I loved it. Like, I really liked Blood of the Spear, and Starbinder was just, in 70 pages, accomplished so much, showed us so much, showed some really other great bits of inspiration from J.N.E. Wirtz as well, so I was having a great time there. It's made me just even more excited for the next book of the Eye of Eternity, and I'm all down and sold for this series and for Mark Timoney, so I'm really excited to do that. I was planning on doing maybe a short for this because it's so short, so I might still do a video going to a little more detail about it. I did, though, do a interview, author conversation with Mark Timoney, so you can definitely check that out if you want to hear more just about him and from him, about his books and everything as well. That was definitely a really good time. And then I decided to start, and this is because I was looking around, and I did a trial for Scribd, to kind of explore them, because I had Audible, but there was something that was on Scribd that I wanted to get, not have to pay user credit for. And then I was looking around and saw that they had the Ringsworn trilogy by Howard Andrew Jones, first book for the Killing of Kings. And so I thought, like, you know what, I had a lot of room for audio last month because I didn't have I was getting through it really quick. And so I decided to hybrid read this because I have this whole trilogy. And for The Killing of Kings, which I also did do a review for, was just it was the second book this month that was just like, I needed this. This is very sword and sorcery-esque, and it follows a group of magical knight people called the Altenrine, and it starts off in the first book where a conspiracy is uncovered, and it's a big deal, but as we continue on, it seems like there was a lot more going on, and there was a lot more at stake, and so I had a really great time with this. A lot of humor and dialogue with it as well. And then I almost finished Upon the Flight of the Queen, which is book 2. I went into this pretty much right after doing physical and audio as well. I technically, I think, finished this on like the 1st or the 2nd maybe. So it was just after February technically, but really enjoyed this one as well. Kind of had a little bit less of the humor and the dialogue that I liked from the first one, but it also was because things are getting a lot more serious, and there was a lot of character growth, especially from some of the characters I pointed out that felt like their personalities were a little over the top, but it was the way they were interacting with others, and then naturally from that, they're going to learn and they're going to grow, and so we get a lot of it as well. So really, really solid. This looks like another really, really solid 4-star series for me. I'm super excited to read the 3rd book, which also will definitely be this month. Although later this month, it's I think the shortest book actually, book 3, and has one of my favorite covers. And I don't have it here. I would show you. It's over there, and I don't want to get it right now. But really cool cover. We'll put it up here. Why not? When the Goddess Awakes, book 3. So I'm excited to get to that as well. Just another one I've been having a really great time with. And then the last of my normal reading is No Heart for a Thief by James Lloyd Doolin. This was a review copy that was sent to me. It's already out now. I didn't have time to get to it before release, but man, was this a good one. And so after the author had sent me an e-arc of this, and after that, I read it, and at the time I was already trying to slow down my review copies, but I read the description. He sent like the first chapter. I'm like, this is really good. And so I accepted it and got to it, and this did so many great things. I'm going to be doing a full review, which should be this Friday. So like 2 days from when this comes out, because this should come out on a Wednesday. But so I'm really, really interested to see more of that one, and I'll talk more about it in the review. But I was hearing so many people talk about it, just talk about how great it was. Definitely get it. A lot of great things with that book, and so I look forward to talking a lot more about that as well once we have that full review. And so that was a really, really good time. Then we have SPSFC updates. So if you're not interested in SPSFC updates, I'll put a timestamp and you can skip past that part of them. But I did do several of those books from the group of semifinalists that we were given and assigned to do. It's been an interesting time. So the first one was the Pono Way by Kirsten Kobe. I do have a review for this, and overall I just found it kind of bland, not the most original, didn't have a lot of heavy sci-fi elements, and just did not really do a whole lot to pull me in. It was pretty short, so there was that, but it's just pretty meh for me. That one though, like I said, you can check out the review if you want to hear more about that one. But then we had one I didn't do a review for because it was a DNF pretty quickly, which was Mouse Cage by Malcolm Cross. This is just a furry fantasy book. I don't mean fantasy as like in the genre. I mean fantasy as like someone who has a furry fantasy. And apparently it's supposed to be about like PTSD or something, but I got through 12%, which I wanted to DNF much sooner than that. But not my thing. Really, really explicit sexual content involving furries. I'm not reading that. If that's your thing, check it out, but it's not mine. So that was a very quick DNF. For that one, I ended up doing, after that I did Lightblade, which I also just had a review come out for that earlier this week. And Lightblade I thought was pretty solid, just didn't really feel particularly sci-fi either. More so progression fantasy, lit RPG. You can check that out if you want to find out more. I think people who like those kinds of things would be more of a fan of Lightblade, just not quite my thing with that. And then we had The Emissary by Michael J. Edwards, which was one of those so bad it's funny type of books for me, and I have one of my more negative reviews on that one where I just kind of rant and talk about all the things that the book did, and I'm just thinking about it now. But that one was pretty well a train wreck from start to finish for me, so not going great with that either. So that was the first 4 of the unfortunately semi-finalists that were assigned to our group. Have not gone great. I took a break, and that was where I started reading the Ringsworn trilogy, because I'm like, I need to do something else and put these down for a while, because I did the 4 out of the 6 that we have assigned. So in March, I will be reading, or trying at least the last 2, and I'm really, really hoping that it's an improvement over the 4 that I've read so far, or that I'm getting more sci-fi elements, and that it's also not bad like like 3 out of the 4 were for me. So that I've done so far. So hoping to have more of that coming up as well. But that's kind of the SPSFC whole part of this. So that's that section, and that goes over all of the things that I did read in February. In March so far, I'm hoping to keep going. I've realized I've kind of slowed down a bit. I got through a lot, and a lot of that was because I was using audio as well as physical and or Kindle and multi-formats, which helped me get through books a lot quicker. So far in March, I've done very little physical reading, so I'm hoping to pick that up, but have a lot of different things, like I've already mentioned, that I'm going to be planning on doing. Right now, I started the first book of Emaneska, which I'm doing a buddy read for, reading Towers of Midnight, or listening to Towers of Midnight. That's on audio for that as well. Planning, the Rune Lords book 4, Ringsworn book 3 definitely will be this month. The other SPSFC books, which are called Reaper and Galaxy Cruise. So I'll be getting to those. And then I'm kind of going to see what I get to, because I had a couple of things I was planning on potentially picking up, and I haven't yet. But planning on just kind of trying to plow through, get through more stuff, and pick up my physical pace as well. And there'll definitely be some more announcements. I will actually be posting a TBR type video for April for reasons that you'll find out soon. I'm waiting for an announcement to go up for why. But there's an event I'm participating in April that will involve me reading hopefully quite a lot of stuff. So going from there, so I'll talk more about that coming up here as well. But yeah, that's everything here for February, and I'm hoping that March goes well. March might be a down month for reading, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going on vacation a little bit later, and so there definitely may be some slowdowns, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully get some more in. But that's it for this month. So let me know in the comments your thoughts on any of the things I've talked about. If you agree, disagree on my thoughts on any of these books. What are some highlights or lowlights from your month of February, or short month? Anything there as well? Always interested to hear in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description as always for the Wizardly Do It Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, any books, really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.